Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. Just back to do a What's Been Spinning video. This is the little series or whatever I do where just every kind of couple weeks or so, I just kind of share with you the albums that I've been spinning. And as always, like to put at the beginning of this, it's always just the albums that I actually sit down and listen to from front to back. Nothing that I kind of just, shuffle through on iTunes or just listen to a few songs here or there because I do a lot of that with a lot of my albums and my listening sessions, if you will. But yeah, these are the ones I kind of set back and took in from front to back. So let's just kind of jump right into it, and we'll start off with CDs. Um, Derek and the Dominoes, of course, you guys know that one all too well. Almond Clapton, all that great stuff. That was a great spin as always. Terrence Trent D'Arby here, one of the definitely made a little name for himself back in the 80s with, songs like Sign Your Name and Wishing Well, of course, which is a gigantic hit. Love those tracks off of that album. And you guys know Stevie Ray. Don't go to him too often, but every now and then I kind of get in the mood. I actually don't have any of his stuff on vinyl, I only have CD. But yeah, just one of the classic blues rock legends. My boy Curtis Blow, had to go to some old school hip hop here. This is the best of Curtis Blow. Such a fun listen right there. The breaks, If I Rule the World, Basketball, just all kinds of great tracks on that. Man, that just hearing that greatest hits type of stuff takes me back to so many childhood memories right there. Dinosaur Jr., definitely probably one of their more popular albums, Without a Sound, has my favorite song by them, which is Feel the Pain off of that. Another fantastic one. Queensryche, Live Evolution, just kind of a two CD set, just a live concert type of thing. I'm not usually that fond of live albums, but this is actually a pretty solid one. So that was a good listen the other day. And then just one of the ultimate thrash albums to me, definitely my favorite album by this band, which is Testament. This is their album, the New Order. I don't know why I decided to listen to it on CD the other day instead of vinyl, but I got the urge to play the CD instead of pulling out the LP. But yeah, just fantastic, fantastic. Just takes off and doesn't stop. Just such a fantastic thrash record. Just one that I think oftentimes it's a little overlooked in some of the greats of that time. Then we go to the Free Jazz Posse, and this is Conspire. Definitely one of my absolute free jazz artists right here. I know some people, can't stand free jazz. Like to them, it's just a bunch of noise and it makes no sense whatsoever. But I don't know, it's something about it that I love, that I connect with, and the Free Jazz Posse does a fantastic job of it. I so wish they would start getting some of their stuff on vinyl, because as of now, I don't think they have. And last but not least for the CDs, little Christopher Cross, kind of diving into some 70s soft rock, like 70s, 80s soft rock right there. Love Christopher to death. Of course, you have all the big hits like Ride Like the Wind and, Sailing and all of that, which is fantastic stuff. And just a really, really awesome, just chill type of album to listen to. There's a bunch of songs on here too, like maybe 15 plus songs. So there's the one thing though, is that you have to be in the mood for it, because if you're not, it can get very whiny very quick to listen to that much Christopher Cross back to back. But again, that's the thing that just made him so awesome in the first place. So that was a great listen too. So now we'll move on to the vinyl. You have Aha, and this is the ultimate. Time and Again. 2 LP set just came out not too long ago. I picked this up at the shop a couple weeks ago, and yeah, it's just kind of a greatest hits. If you have their album Hunting High and Low, for the most part, I think you get most of the best of Aha on that particular studio album. But this is a kind of a cool one to have. There's some other tracks inside of here, actually some that I didn't even recall. But then going to side four, there's also stuff like Analog, All I Want, and a few other tracks that are just really, really good. So if you don't have that studio album, I said, I'm sorry, Hunting High and Low. If you don't have that, this is definitely a great, great pickup. But if you're not a gigantic fan of them and you do have that album, I wouldn't say this is one that you have to run to, so to speak. But really cool stuff there. Smokey Robinson, One Heartbeat. You know, we always think about him as Mr. Motown, but he had some great stuff going into the 80s. This is from 1987, including the song One Heartbeat. Fantastic track there. Uh, then a little Timmy and the Animals. This is the best of. You know, great album here. House of the Rising Sun. Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. So many other great things on this one. So really, really fantastic one. And you know, looking at some of the old stickers I had here on the back of this album just reminds me of the days when, you know, you can see that's just a beautiful near mint copy, just in fantastic condition. Vinyl's really kind of the same, and I paid $2.99 for this back in the day. Like this was commonly the kind of stuff you found in a $2 or $3 bin all the time. And it's like my have excuse me my have I can't say it my how times have changed. There, got it out. Anthony Gomez, another great one here. This is actually my first album by him. I know he's put out a number of different things, but got this, I don't know, like maybe 6 months ago or something like that. Listened to it a couple times, and it is a really cool album. Peace, love, and loud guitars. Just very much on kind of the Stevie Ray Vaughan vein. And he's not as technical, and he's a little more towards the rock side of that blues rock, where you know Stevie was a little more towards the blues side of blues rock. But yeah, definitely one to kind of check out. For some reason, every time I've seen this cover, I've always thought it would have been so much cooler if he would have tilted his head down where the hat was covering his face and you couldn't see it. Like every time I see this cover, I think about that. And I don't know why I feel like that's what it's supposed to be, but I just kind of do. All right, and here you have Kenny and Jackie, another awesome Tone Poet release, a live performance from them out in San Francisco in 1962. Just some more, you know, fantastic jazz. Just very typical Jackie on that one. And what I still consider to be the best release in 2024, even though we're so far away from it being done, I could not have asked for a better album to be released or one that I wanted more than Seal's 1994 release, his second album. One of the most emotional albums I think I've experienced in my lifetime, with songs like Bring It On, Prayer for the Dying, Dreaming in Metaphors, Don't Cry. I mean, of course, Kiss from a Rose is on here. You know, kind of that got a little bit played out or whatever, but I mean, oh, such a fantastic album. And I play this thing all the time. Recently went and saw Jason Isbell in concert. A good buddy of mine over at the record shop had an extra ticket and hooked me up, and that was really awesome of him. So yeah, it was kind of cool seeing him, and it made me want to go back and spend some of his stuff I haven't spent in a while, because I'm always playing Southeastern. 'Cause that's my favorite album by Jason Isbell. In my opinion, one of the top 20 albums to come out in the past 20 years. But yeah, this one right here is a fantastic one too. Something More Than Free, another fantastic one. Great follow up to Southeastern. Songs like 24 Frames, The Life You Choose, the title track, Something More Than Free. Just, I mean, yeah, between those two albums, this one and Southeastern, Jason was just on his game and killing it. And luckily in the concert, it seems like a lot of what he played was off of those two albums. Little Aerosmith's greatest hits, something I haven't visited in quite some time. You know, sometimes you get so used to you've heard the hits so many times you don't think about going back to them. But yeah, that was a really fun listen. Dream On, same old story, same old song. Um, Little Tom Petty, his debut album here from 1976. There's such a great feel on this album. I mean, this is just the greatness of Petty, in my opinion. Um, you know, it's songs, of course, like American Girl, which was huge. But then the song Breakdown is always the one that gets me off of this. It's just like stripped down, right to the point greatness of what Tom Petty was. Love, love, love that track. And speaking of that, kind of funny that pops up right afterwards. Grace Jones, Warm Leatherette, another fantastic artist from the 80s, one of the more creative artists from the 80s. And I was saying that because the title track on here is great, but she actually does a cover of Breakdown on this album, of Tom Petty's Breakdown. And she does it justice too. I mean, it's a fantastic cover. But love Grace, just one of the most creative artists out there. Kid and Play, Too Hype, little old school hip hop. Had to put that on the other day, and yeah, you know, roll with Kid and Play, and I mean, just fun stuff. back in the awesome days when, like I always say, uh, some of my best days in hip hop were those times when artists were allowed to smile on their cover. Um, you know, that's just one that falls right into that. Glass Vegas, another great listen here. This is their release from 2008. If you haven't heard them before, there's a really cool song called Geraldine off of this album. So another great one to check out. There was a cool story, but I know I've told it in other videos before, but the song Geraldine was one of those free songs they put out on iTunes back in the day, and I heard it and I loved it and been listening to it, and it had never been put out on vinyl. And I was walking through the store one day and they had this sitting on the shelf, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's on vinyl!" And so I went to ask them, like, "Well, how much is it? I definitely want one." And they were like, it's for a promotional thing. Those aren't for sale." And I was like, "Oh, are you gonna have any for sale?" They're like, "No, not that we know of. There's just these ones they're giving out for promotions." I was like, "Oh man!" And it was some event that was taking place whenever, and the guy was very cool. And I was like, "Well, thanks for your help. I really appreciate it." And I walked off, and he came up to me a few minutes afterwards and just like, he goes, "Here, just take one." And I'm like, "What?" And like gave it to me for free. He's like, I can tell how much you love that album." And he goes, "Here, just take one." And so yeah, not only did I get it, but a free promotional copy of it as well, which is awesome. But check out that song if you're not familiar with it. Animal Boy by the Ramones. This is one of their later releases from 1986, which is really kind of a time frame I think I love even more so than early Ramones. I love the later Ramones. Of course, the song on here, "My Brain is Hanging Upside Down," one of my favorite tracks by them. So another great one there. Another legendary album you guys all know, Concrete Blonde, Bloodletting. Joey, a lot of other great hits on there. Fantastic album. Very cool soundtrack here, Black Snake Moan from the movie with Samuel L. Jackson. Really, really cool blues album. There's also 2 or 3 songs that Samuel L. Jackson actually does on this. But then there's stuff by Son House and R.L. Burnside. If you haven't seen the movie, check it out. It's really kind of cool. But Samuel doesn't do a bad job at all. Really cool soundtrack. You can still get those extremely cheap. Howlin' Wolf. This is Howlin' Wolf's new album. He doesn't like it. He didn't like his electric guitar at first either. And this is his release from 1969 right there. So that was a good listen, followed up by also Electric Mud, which is Muddy Waters' electric album from 1968. And basically what the Wolf and this was right here, for those maybe that don't quite know, is of course, when you think about the late 60s going into the early 70s, the whole psychedelic thing was really becoming kind of big, and obviously a lot of the blues stuff uh, from like the, I guess maybe the what, early 60s and that type of thing, when blues was really, really on top. Um, and this was kind of their way of trying to work into the psychedelic thing that everyone was digging at the time. So they took Wolf and Mud and just kind of electrified them. And you listen to this Electric Mud, it sounds very, very Hendrix like. I mean, you can definitely see exactly what they were chasing. Is Hendrix is doing the blues more or less, and he's turned it into a psychedelic rock type of thing, and Hendrix is one of the biggest things in the world. Well, we got Mud, we got Wolf. Can we turn them into kind of a psychedelic blues type of thing? And like I said, you listen to this and you swear Hendrix wrote 80% of this album. So really, really great stuff. X Clan, this is Exodus, another fantastic old school hip hop album from 1992. Um, yeah, I mean, just if you know, you know on that one. Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians, fantastic tracks like What I Am, which was a huge hit off of this from 1988. So a really cool album there. Trying to speed up a little bit so this doesn't get too long. Foo Fighters' Greatest Hits, just what it sounds like. Foo Fighters' Greatest Hits. Another fun one here that was a good listen the other day, Pantera. This is a Walmart exclusive. A Decade of Domination, just kind of basically a greatest hits. So really good stuff there. And the last, like, what, 3 or 4 here. Tycho, this is Awake. Kind of it's all instrumental, kind of a synth poppy type of thing. Really, really cool stuff. Highly recommend that album if you're into that thing. And one of the R&B legends from back in the day, Ann Peoples, another great one here. This is I Can't Stand the Rain, which of course is also a huge cover that Tina Turner did of that particular track. And the last two, Mr. Billy Paul himself. This is the best of Billy Paul. Me and Mrs. Jones, of course, was a huge hit. Always very kind of well known as such like a big R&B singer, but he really was kind of more of a jazzy kind of thing when you really got down to it. But just a very interesting artist, very talented artist, and put out some really amazing stuff over the years. And last but not least, a little Gloria Jones, kind of going back into the Motown phase here, kind of late Motown, 1973. But yeah, just another great R&B singer. Really, really cool stuff there. So there you go, VC. That's some stuff that has been spinning over the past couple weeks. As always, let me know what you guys think. Appreciate you watching, and we will talk to you soon. All right, take care, guys.